Good morning, gentlemen. What's going on?
You know what's going on. Breaking news from you. The Bears are open for business. What was your initial reaction to that story?
Well, listen, it's Combine Week where the entire NFL universe gathers in Indianapolis right now to essentially study the prospects for the upcoming draft, begin to assess deals for the upcoming year. And it's a situation where I think this is, an advertisement. The number one pick is for sale. Let's start talking. We've already been talking. Let's make the best deal possible. And let's see what that entails in the end. So I think they're open for business. They've been open for business. But this is now obviously one final word that it sounds like they are going to be open to dealing and trading that number one overall pick.
Do you believe, Adam, and thanks for joining us this morning, that they would not only trade down maybe to 2, so Houston gets who they want, or 4 because Indianapolis wants, but that they would make multiple trades down so that they could they got so many holes to address that you could have a huge part of building a new foundation?
Well, I think it's certainly possible that you could go from 1 to 2 with one deal and 2 to 4 with another deal. And the options are multiple. Like, I don't think that they're confined or limited with the way the draft board falls to just one trade. It's possible that they can make multiple trades. It's possible they can make one trade. It's possible that, it's up to them to sift through this year over the course of the next few days, weeks, whatever it may be. The draft is in essentially 2 months. But we've seen top picks trade. I remember coming up from the Combine the year that Josh Allen was in the draft and Lamar Jackson in the draft, and the Jets traded up, I believe, from 6 to 3 with Indianapolis, or 6 to 4, or 8 to 4, whatever it was. But I remember thinking, wow, that trade could be made in mid-March, like 6 weeks out of the draft. And I just think the timeline on all these things in the NFL has been accelerated. And you don't wait necessarily to the end anymore. That these talks are going on. They have been going on. They're going to continue to go on. And nothing would stop the Bears from making the right deal this week if they found it.
Adam, as you reported, the Bears are leaning towards trading that number one pick after being approached by multiple teams already. What's going on with the Texans, Cardinals, and Colts in that regard? You think they're open for business or should be?
Oh, listen, when you look at the draft and the possibilities that are out there, we have the Texans at 2, the Colts at 4, the Seahawks at 5, the Raiders at 7, Falcons at 8, Panthers at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 teams in the top 10 that you could make an argument will not be or could use help at the quarterback position. 6 teams. So the Bears have the number one pick and really don't have a need a quarterback. I mean, I know there's talk about Justin Fields. I'm not buying. I think he's their guy. They just have to surround him with the right people. And so if you don't have a glaring need at quarterback, and they don't, and the Texans, Colts, Seahawks, Raiders, Falcons, Panthers all have quarterback questions over the long term, you could have potentially, a feeding frenzy for that number one overall pick. And it creates an incredible situation for that organization and a chance to recoup a lot of these picks and to really stock up for the future. And that's what this is about right now.
So I think there's another untold story here, Adam, that maybe doesn't get written today, but does after the draft, because the Houston Texans knew before they played their final game, they were moving on from Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith basically gave the big middle finger to the organization, went for 2, got it, and now they're picking second. And it's a generational mistake because they may have to give up a lot of capital to go get the guy they want. Do you think we will see this draft and what happened with Houston getting Chicago the number one pick and teams in the future, if we're changing coaches or if we know we're locked in and wanting to be number one, we are going to make it clear internally you are not to do anything to try and win that game?
No, listen, I think this was a mistake by the Texans in this regard. Lovie Smith knows there's a real possibility that he's going to be out. I don't know that he knows he's going to be fired, but he certainly knows it's well within the realm of possibility. And so, to me, the front office very easily could say, or ownership could say, I don't want Brandon Cooks playing. I don't want any veteran playing. We're going to hold out key guys. Listen, you can't force a team to lose. There are 53 guys who are playing for their contracts. The players are not thinking the way that you're describing. They're thinking, I'm going to go out and do the best I can. My contract may be up. I'm always playing to try to keep my job. There's nothing you could do, but you can take certain guys off the field. That you can control, right? You could say, I don't remember who they started that game. I have to look at their lineup, the starting lineup. But there are probably 4, 5, 6 guys that they could have said, you know what, we're not playing this guy that day. And they didn't do that. They played the game, and they played it to win, and they did win. And we'll see how it impacts them, but it certainly put the Bears into a tremendous position of power that a lot of people thought they might not be in.
Adam, we see this in the NBA, Major League Baseball all the time, where a team will go and level a franchise, go in a different direction, and just start over. The Bears picked a lane clearly. With Ryan Poles wanted to pick a lane, moved a lot of players and a lot of veterans off the books. And so based on football's past, how successful is this philosophy of starting over and have one pillar in Fields and then move forward from there?
Well, listen, we've seen other quarterbacks, like the Eagles went out last offseason and surrounded Jalen Hurts with talent. Like Jalen Hurts looked like he could play, but there were still some questions. They went out, they put A.J. Brown around him. They drafted Devontae Smith. You saw the difference it made. And so they have to do a better job of protecting Justin Fields, putting great players around Justin Fields. The wide receiver crew they played with last year was substandard. It just was. And they attempted to upgrade with Chase Claypool. They need more help at the position. It doesn't stop there. Cole Kmet was the leading receiver. They need to get some weapons there. And David Montgomery is now a free agent. We'll see what they do with that. Look, to me, when we go into this offseason, I know everybody's waiting for a decision for Aaron Rodgers and waiting to hear what he has to say. But I don't think that there's any one person that's going to impact this offseason anymore than the Chicago Bears general manager, Ryan Poles. Here's a man that holds the number 1 overall pick. Here's a man that has roughly $100 million in cap space. Here's a man that's going to be moving and shaking. And so right now is the start of a critical 2 months for the future of this Bears franchise. And it starts now, and Ryan Poles is going to be at the center of it.
By the way, I pulled up that box score you mentioned. Davis Mills threw for 298 yards, and Brandon Cooks played and had 106 yards on 5 catches with a touchdown. Yeah, they played their guys.
Yeah, mistake, right? Like it should have been Davis Mills. We appreciate everything you showed us this year. We're starting Jeff Driscoll. Brandon Cooks, thank you. We're going to try to trade you this offseason. You're not playing. Like, how hard is that?
Agreed.
To do?
Agreed. Hey, man, thanks for taking time for us. We really appreciate it. Again, you broke that story this morning as the Bears are leaning towards trading the number 1 pick. We're going to be in Indy. Hope we see you in Indy. It should be an interesting week.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate having me. Hope all is well.